If you are not wanting to commit to a super long series, let me introduce you to some of my favorite trilogies. And if you want more, I posted a video yesterday about my favorite duologies. First, I'm going to start off with one of my favorites, the War of Lost Hearts trilogy. This, in my opinion, is probably the closest you're going to get to a Throne of Glass type of experience. We have Tisana, a female warrior who has quite literally gone through the ringer. In Daughter of No Worlds, she escapes a life of enslavement where she basically had to perform her magic like a circus member. Once she finds herself free from captivity, she runs to the place she believes is the safest, which is the Orders. She is very behind when it comes to training, so she seeks out the best of the best. Maxentarius, who happens to be an ex-captain of the Orders and has serious reservations about it for good reason. There are twisted secrets and war constantly on the horizon. In order to save all of those that are still enslaved, Tisana's people, they have to fight against very dark forces. And there's this ultimate weapon which they can basically implant inside themselves, but it has way too much control and can cause catastrophic effects. Their relationship is so beautiful and they will do quite literally anything to save each other. You need to read this one. Next, I have two trilogies that go together, being Caraval and Once Upon a Broken Heart. If you're going to read both of these, which I highly recommend, you need to start with Caraval. In this trilogy, there are two different perspectives from sisters Scarlet and Tella. They live with their cruel father, and when Scarlet is about to go through with an arranged marriage, Tella swoops her away to Caraval, a game that takes place once a year. It's this magical event that you need to be invited to, and Scarlet has dreamt about it since she was a little girl. Once she gets there, she quickly realizes that it's a lot more dangerous than she was led on to believe. It's a game of deception and illusions, and it kind of has this atmosphere that's like a circus or a fair. Tella ends up getting kidnapped at the very beginning, so Scarlet has to win the game in order to get her one wish from the owner of the game, Legend. There are a lot of secrets and hidden identities that need to be discovered. The main saying in this trilogy is, remember, it's just a game. Then you can move on to Once Upon a Broken Heart since you have more background information about the unique magic system in this world. There are also some key characters from Caraval that show up in Once Upon a Broken Heart, one being the MMC. In this trilogy, we have Evangeline, a damsel in distress who has a broken heart over her ex. She seeks out the Prince of Hearts, an immortal who can help her with her dilemma. In order to receive his help, she agrees to kiss 3 men of his choosing, but he has ulterior motives. Jax, the Prince of Hearts, has a curse placed upon him that makes his kisses fatal unless you are his one true love. In a turn of events, she ends up having to work with him long term in the Magnificent North. This is considered YA, so the spice is minimal, but it makes the tension 10 times better. The little touches and body language that makes you feel like you're going a little crazy. And side note, the Caraval series also has a cute little Christmas novella. And I got this one from Owl Crate. It has a lot of pretty artwork on the inside. This one was a fun little festive read. I have the Fae Academy for Spies, which I talk about these all the time. Our American FMC Naya is on vacation in France and ends up at an academy for spies. Her superior ends up being someone from her child teenagehood, and it turned into a friends to lovers to enemies type of situation. So they're not necessarily getting along when they reunite. Finds out that she has a very rare ability that will benefit the academy, so he takes her along to Avalon Tower, a secret location for the spies. There is political intrigue and divide amongst the humans, Demi-Fae and Fae. They go on high-stake missions, which is really fun. And then in the second book, Veil of Dreams, she ends up taking on the biggest mission yet. She is deep in enemy territory, but it's a 1 in a million type of opportunity, so she stays and gets really good intel. Naturally, as spies and royalty, everybody is keeping secrets. There is war amongst so many different subgroups. This is honestly just one of my favorite trilogies because it's so different and refreshing. And lastly, I have the Powerful trilogy, and obviously the Powerful novella that's on my shelf. And I know that everybody and their mom is familiar with this, but I couldn't leave it out. While many love this, there's also a lot of criticism around it. I honestly just had a fun time with it. Is it the best writing when it comes to fantasy world building? Not really, but I will say that Lauren Roberts definitely stepped it up in Fearless when it comes to that aspect. If you are unfamiliar, let me briefly break it down for you. This trilogy takes place in a kingdom where those who have power are seen as elite above everybody else. Those who do not have power are supposed to be disposed of, one of those individuals being our FMC Payton. However, she is taught by her father to come across like she has a psyche type of ability because it's harder to prove that from an outside perspective. She lives in the slums with her bestie Adina because they are both without family. On a random day, she ends up saving one of the princes, Kai, and she is deemed powerful enough to compete in the trials under the king's roof. There is something going on with both the brothers Kai and Kit, one being the future king and the other being the future king's enforcer, aka an assassin. And that's all I'm gonna say because things get crazy and I don't want to give too much away. If you want to cry, read this trilogy. And those are all of my favorite trilogies. And if you guys have any recommendations, feel free to share with your girl.